Testing, testing. This is the October 6th meeting for the Macon-Bibb County Commission. My name is Chris Floor with the Office of Public Affairs, and we are currently testing the audio to make sure that we are live on Facebook. Good afternoon, everyone. For those of y'all who just joined us, we are live on Facebook currently, and we are waiting on it to go live on our website at www.maconbibb.us. For those of you who are watching on Facebook and know people that may want to watch but are not on Facebook, please direct them to that website. Again, that's www.maconbibb.us. Thank you, and the commission will be beginning in about 5 or 6 minutes.
That with it already being plugged in. Well, no.
Hello, everybody. Long time no see.
Hello.
Hello. Who is that? Joe?
Yep.
Hope you had a good week off last week.
Who, me?
Yeah. All of us.
Right, exactly.
I went and got tested.
Janice is waving, so I guess she did something fun.
Janice just showed up. It was fun.
I took 3 days off.
Really? Good for
Yeah.
you. Did you go anywhere fun?
No, not really.
Just being off was fun, wasn't it?
Just being off.
Mm-hmm.
And Craig wasn't there, so I watched the person too.
Oh boy, that was really fun then.
Yeah, he won't
Hey,
watch
Julie.
that.
I didn't say that though. Don't let him hear that.
Okay.
Hey, Julie.
There, how are you?
Good. Thanks for taking care of that for me today.
Absolutely.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Chris Floor with the Office of Public Affairs. I'm going to mute everyone real quick just to make sure I can test the sound. We are live on Facebook and the website, but I need everyone to turn just had their sound off so I can test the website sound. So give me just one moment to get this tested. I'm going to mute everyone real quick just to make sure I can test this now. We are live on Facebook and the website. But good afternoon, everyone. This is Chris sound off so I can prepare the website. I'm going to mute everyone real quick just to make sure I can test this now. We are live on Facebook and the website. But yes, it is. I got it. Mm-hmm. Mr. Mayor, we are live on Facebook and the website, so we are good to go from our end. You still got about 2 minutes, and I'll let our clerk Janice let you know when you have your quorum. Again, good evening, everyone. This is Chris Floor with the Office of Public Affairs. We are broadcasting this meeting live on Facebook, as well as our website, www.macon-bibb.us. Thank you.
Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Let me call to order this pre-commission meeting of the Macon-Bibb County Commission. And I'll start out by reading this notice and disclaimer again. Out of an abundance of caution, the Macon-Bibb County Commission meeting scheduled for Tuesday, October the 6th, 2020 at 5:00 p.m. pre-commission and 6:00 p.m. Regular commission meeting will be available to the Macon-Bibb County Commissioners by video conference only. The commission chambers will be closed to the public and press in order to slow the spread of COVID-19. Therefore, the public and press may only access the meeting simultaneously online at www.maconbibb.us or www.facebook.com/Macon-Bibb County. With that having been said, I understand we do have a quorum. But I'll ask the clerk to call the roll. And if you would, please, when she calls your name, if you would unmute yourself and answer so that we can have a verbal response, that would be very helpful. Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Wynn,
Present.
Commissioner Schlesinger,
Here.
Commissioner Lucas,
Here.
Commissioner Jones, Commissioner Bibbins,
Here.
Commissioner Allen,
Present.
Commissioner Shepard is here. Commissioner Watkins, Commissioner Tillman.
Here, Madam Clerk.
You have
Good.
a
We
quorum.
do have a quorum. Let me make a couple of announcements, please, that Chris Floor has provided to me, and these will also, I'm sure, be made available to you by email. We have a groundbreaking this Thursday, October the 8th, at Frankie Lewis Park. That's at 834 Linmore Avenue off of Houston Avenue, 10 o'clock this Thursday. On Thursday, October the 15th at 9:30, we have the Fillmore Thomas Park Phase 2 grand opening. That, of course, is at 3793 Log Cabin Drive. And again, that'll be Thursday, October the 15th at 9:30. And the Randy Stevens Tennis Center at South Bibb Recreation Center, that has been rescheduled now for Wednesday, November the 18th. And other groundbreakings and grand openings include Freedom Park Phase 4 groundbreaking to be scheduled soon. Henderson Stadium grand opening to be scheduled soon. The Booker T. Washington Center grand opening to be scheduled soon. Dolores A. Brooks Recreation Center grand opening. We'll schedule that when we are opening the rec centers back up. Gilead Recreation Center opening, same thing, and Carolyn Creighton Park dedication to be determined in partnership with Cherry Blossom Festival. Now we also want to update you on the governor's most recent executive order and his extension of the state of emergency. And I'll call on Michael McNeil to do that for us. Michael?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So the governor issued 2 new executive orders on September 30th, which was last Wednesday. The first executive order is 09.30.20.01, and that extends the statewide public health emergency for an additional 30 days through and including November 9th. Remember that this is the order that allows but does not require for governmental boards to meet remotely under the Open Meetings Act, as we're doing right now. And so that authority continues through November 9th. That is also the authority that allows the governor to issue the operational biweekly executive orders that he's been issuing. And so we have one more of those that was also issued on Wednesday the 30th, Executive Order 09.30.20.02. This was the 8th order in the Empowering a Healthy Georgia series. Took effect October 1st and will continue until Thursday, October 15th. It was fairly minor in the changes that it made. It deleted some definitions regarding day camps, overnight summer camps, in order to consolidate. There was a change made in a previous order that allowed for certain summer camps that are license exempt through the state to operate only over the summer, extended that into the school year so that these places could operate as remote learning centers for children that are doing remote learning through the school systems. And so just some artifact definitions that were left in from that change were deleted. The last order from the mid-September order started to relax the visitation requirements for or policies for long-term care facilities. And this takes it one step further by starting to allow service providers funded through Georgia Department of Behavioral Health and Developmental Disabilities to make health and safety visits to those long care facilities again. There was a change in the general terms for restaurant and bar operations. Previously, the orders had required that any employee showing signs or symptoms of COVID-19 had to wait until they were symptom-free for 3 days before returning to work. This new order modifies that time so that they can return to work after they've been symptom-free for 24 hours. And the last change was to high school graduates that are applying for the Zell Miller Student Scholarship or Hope Scholarship. There's certain qualifying test scores that they have to get, such as the SAT test scores, and submit those as part of their application to get those scholarships. The deadline to submit those qualifying application test scores was extended through June 30th of 2021 for people that are looking to get those scholarships. And there was some language added to allow for retroactive awarding of those scholarships if people were not able, for example, to take the SAT because of COVID. So those are the updates. That was sent out by email to all the commissioners last Friday. But if you have any specific questions, I'll be glad to take those at this time. Otherwise, Mr. Mayor.
Are there any questions by any member of the commission?
Mr. Mayor, yes, this is Valerie Wynn. Michael, how does it address our our meetings being in person?
So there's a state of emergency that's in effect through November 9th. And it doesn't specifically say one way or another about meeting in person versus meeting remotely, but the Open Meetings Act itself has a provision in it that says that if there's a state of emergency in effect, then the boards are allowed to meet remotely. And so because the state of emergency is in effect, that triggers the provision that's already in law for the Open Meetings Act that says where there's an emergency, we can meet remotely.
But it's not required to meet.
It is not required. That's correct, ma'am.
Thank you.
Other questions? If not, let me switch over to Spencer Hawkins and Spencer, Michael.
I'm sorry. I just also wanted to introduce Frank Howard, who is on the call with us today.
Yes. By all means. Means.
We've got a new attorney that is joining our office. He started yesterday. Mr. Frank Howard comes to us from private practice and will be the litigation and procurement attorney for our office. And so I just wanted to take the moment to introduce him to the board as well.
Michael, can you take his mask down so we can see him?
No.
I want to know who I'm running into in the hall. Thank you, Frank.
Keep the mask on.
Thank you.
Don't
Frank.
scare him off.
Welcome.
Well, thank y'all.
Welcome.
I'm looking forward to working with all of you today.
Good. Welcome aboard,
Thank you,
Frank. That's great. Spencer, now let me go to you. And if you would, please give us an update on our local COVID numbers and also give us the latest on the hurricane that's headed toward the Gulf. Please, sir.
Yes, sir. I think I've got some slides. Chris is putting those up now on the screen. So as you can see, the first graph on your left-hand side is our overall COVID case average. I pulled these numbers starting the middle of August until the most recent date of onset report from the health department, which is 22 September. And as you can see, we've had a pretty significant drop in our numbers over the last several weeks. You will see around the middle of September, starting around September 12th until around September 20th, there is a bump, an increase. That was Labor Day. That was when we had the Labor Day holiday and people were not socially distancing, not wearing their masks, not doing the things they needed to do. And we saw an increase in those numbers. Currently, our 7-day daily case average is 10.9 as it's put in forth today. The graph on the right is our positivity rate. And so that is essentially the percentage of positive patients that we get based on the number of tests. So for example, if there were 100 people being tested and 10 of them were positive, we'd have a 10% positivity rate. WHO wants that to be at 5% or below. And as you can see, we're starting to climb down. Once again, middle of September, you see that jump in numbers. That's Labor Day again. And we're getting down now. We're about 7.2 is the latest percentage positivity rate that we have specifically for Macon-Bibb County. Next slide, please. The graph on the left is our cases per 100,000 for Macon-Bibb County specifically. Once again, started around the beginning of September, around the 250 mark. You see that middle of September bump. And then once again, we're dropping again. We're back to about 144 for our latest cases per 100,000. One of the three things that I want to illustrate with these three graphs is you can see that there is an impact. If we do not socially distance, if we're not washing our hands, if we're gathering in groups of more than 50 people, there is an impact. And it's noted right here in the data. And so that's where we are currently. The numbers on the right, this is the PPE distribution that we've done just here locally in Macon-Bibb County through the EMA office. That's the number of masks, gloves, hand sanitizer, gowns, and face shields that we have handed out to our response partners and through the community. I do want to call out our recreation department that we partnered with that for the last several weeks have handed out hundreds of thousands of masks, gloves, and hand sanitizers. I'll say a bulk of those numbers were handed out to the community through our recreation department, and they've done a fantastic job of handing out and getting that PPE to our community and to our citizens.
Bravo to them.
So absolutely. And so that's the latest update for COVID. I'll take any COVID questions before we move on to tropical event Delta.
Hey.
One question from me, please, Spencer. The impact or effect of the cases per 100,000 dropping below 100 cases per 100,000 population. What effect does that have on the mask ordinance, I guess is what I'm asking.
Yeah, as it's written into the governor's order is that we have to have over 100 cases per 100,000 for the mask mandate. And so we're going to continue to monitor that number. And once we get there, we can make some decisions on where we're going with the mask mandate.
That's
Good.
if it's 100 or less. Is that right? 100.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah. I thought you said over 144. One question. Do we have any tracking of recovery rates from these you've got all the positive testing numbers, but we don't have any recovery numbers, do we?
The public health, the public health department is right now isn't pulling those numbers. What they're looking at right now is just overall, current health of the community. And that's where, you look back at, if you want to go back one slide, please, Chris. That's where the daily case average, and this is specifically the date of onset, not the date of report, as well as the positivity rate. And so,
Oh, she frozen.
Hello?
It's me.
So that's what we're looking at is, what's the current health of our community so we can make those response decisions. And as you can see, like I said, Labor Day had an impact. You see those bumps, around the middle of September, and that was 2 weeks after Labor Day. And so that's why we keep talking about it's so critically important to ensure that we're socially distancing. We're not gathering in large groups. We're wearing our masks. We're washing our hands.
Those two charts right there, Spencer, the one that's the 7-day daily case average, is that one, if that one drops below 10, is that good? And the other one has to be below 5 or 5 below. Is that right?
Well, the daily case average ideally is, the goal is 0. We don't want any new cases, but the case average is what we're utilizing to make response decisions. We've talked about the phased response plan that we have. So as we go through phase 1 and phase 2 and go back down to phase 1 and phase 2, we make different decisions about what should be reopened and what should stay closed for their overall health and wellness of the community.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
If there are no other questions, Spencer, go ahead.
I got a couple.
Okay, go ahead.
I was curious. Our 10.9 looks really good. Is that close to the state average or much better? Or
the state average right now is about 6.
Okay. Yeah.
And so we're still working towards, but once again, seeing those drop in numbers is the direction we want to go. And that's what we want to see.
Overall, everyone is dropping. So we're okay. And the phase, so you mentioned that we were in phase 2 and now we're entering phase 1.
The plan that we put in place is that we would need to be
Could you tell me the difference between phase 1 and phase 2?
Yeah, we'd need to be below 15 for 5 consecutive days for us to move back. And then that is when, once we get into phase 1, we would, once again, this would be a conversation that we'd have, with the administration to put together, and what does that look like to start lessening some of the restrictions that we'd have. So for instance, telework or entry into county buildings or virtual transactions for some of our offices and departments. So that'll be something that once we cross that line, we'll work with Dr. Moffitt and everyone else at the administration and the department directors to make smart, healthy decisions on what to reopen and when to reopen that.
So I just looking at the chart, I guess all that'll be happening by Monday.
We can only hope. Let's hope the numbers keep going in the right direction and we take it day by day. And we look at each number every single day. And, if we go up, we'll monitor that and then work even harder to get that number back down.
So just so I'm clear, am I understanding that right? Like on Monday, business license will be back open for people to flood the doors and the business like they used.
Well, I wouldn't necessarily say flood the doors. It would be, we would still want to ensure that we're maintaining socially distanced. We're making sure that we're, encouraging hand washing, have hand sanitizer available. But like I said, right now, a lot of our departments, because we're at such a high rate, we're working to do only things virtually. And so now there may be an opportunity to open things back up in person.
Would that include the courthouse or?
The courts are on a completely different area. They're governed by I think the state Supreme Court. Michael, if you want to jump in here and answer the question about the courts, because I know that's not under our purview for a lot of the court operations, correct?
I get it. So what about the big one? The big one, I think Commissioner Tillman can help me out with this one too, but the permitting for businesses and that type of stuff. I know we have restrictions on permits for our recreation department and outside vendors doing catering and stuff. So
Yes, once we cross that line, then
Open back
I'll work with Dr. Moffett and once again,
on
the other
Monday?
impacted department directors to make some decisions. What's the safest and healthiest thing for the community going forward? Dr. Moffett?
Yes, that's correct.
Sorry, I just saw you unmuted. Didn't know if you wanted to say anything.
No, as the numbers, as you update the numbers, we'll be evaluating things as the numbers get updated.
So what would they need to come for those people that's trying to get? And I think the idea is they're already business owners that have beer and wine licenses. It doesn't affect them right now if they already have them, and we are approving them, but they can't come and get them. So I think that's a very important question to put out there, Dr. Moffett. If you can be more specific and give us a directive on that, it'd be very helpful.
Very good. We'll try to do that. We'll try to do that as we continue to monitor numbers and see where we are.
Chris, do you want to jump to the last slide about, we'll talk about Delta?
Yeah, please. Can you believe it? Another hurricane coming our way, well, into the Gulf, and may have some impact on us. Spencer?
Real quick, yeah, this is Hurricane Delta. And the name may not sound usual. It's because we have had so many hurricanes this year. We have exhausted the alphabetical list for names of hurricanes. And then once they do that, we go into the Greek alphabet. So alpha, beta, theta, gamma, and now we're at Delta. And so Hurricane Delta right now is, you can see on the left-hand side is the yellow circle is its current location. Below is a forecasted track. You can see Wednesday where it's going to be. It's going to hit Cancun as a Category 4. It's going to go run into the Gulf of Mexico on Thursday. Sometime Friday evening, it'll make landfall around the Louisiana Peninsula and move up through Mississippi and Alabama into Saturday or Sunday, loosening strength and dropping to a tropical depression as it moves into Mississippi and Alabama. We are closely watching this. Obviously, this forecast track can change. You can see that error cone that stretches, as it makes landfall from the panhandle of Florida all the way to the east coast of Texas. And so it's a wide track of where this might go. So we're closely monitoring the forecast track. We're coordinating with our response partners. We've been doing that since Monday morning, since it looked like this was going to be an incident or something we may need to watch. And then once again, the big thing that we're doing is making sure that our community is notified and that they know what's going on. And so we have an MBC alert emergency notification system, and it's very easy to sign up for. You can text the keyword MBC alert down there at the left-hand or the right-hand side of your screen. The keyword is MBC alert to 888-777. And then you can sign up for our emergency alerts, and we can notify you if something may or may not happen with this hurricane or any other major disaster that may be coming our way. So as we move forward, we'll continue to monitor this and provide you updates as appropriate. Any questions on Hurricane Delta?
Good. Spencer, thank you very much.
Yes,
Very timely information, and we appreciate what you do. If there's no objection, I'd like to jump and take the next item of business out of order. Scarlett Farr is on the phone with us. She was not able to call in last week for our committee meetings, but her appointment to keep Macon-Bibb beautiful is pending, and she is on the phone with us tonight. So if there's no objection, I'd like to see if Chairman Lucas would call on Scarlett Farr. Scarlett, are you there?
I am.
Good. Well, Chairman Lucas,
yes.
And let me make just the briefest of introductions. Scarlett Farr is a CPA and currently is employed by the Department of Justice bankruptcy analyst in the Office of the U.S. Trustee. She is a forensic accountant. The Keep Macon-Bibb Beautiful Commission connection comes that she 2019, she became the royalty coordinator for the Cherry Blossom Festival. So she's been working with the Cherry Blossom Festival and familiar with the workings of the Keep Macon-Bibb Beautiful Commission. Think she'd do a good job. So Scarlett, thank you for being willing to serve. Commissioner Lucas or Chairman Lucas.
Okay, thank you so much, and hi to everybody that I have spoken to, and welcome as far to the pre-commission meeting. We will just go ahead, Mr. Mayor, if it's okay with you, and entertain a motion to approve this nomination.
So moved.
Okay, where my
Second.
committee? All right, it's been motion and second to approve that nomination. Is there discussion? Questions? Ms. Farr, why do you want to be on the Keep Macon-Bibb Beautiful Commission?
Well, I've lived here my whole life, and I have been involved with the Cherry Blossom for quite a number of years. So I got to know the Keep Macon-Bibb Beautiful Commission. In fact, a few years ago, I even made a proposal to them about some beautification downtown. And so I got the chance to be on the board and thought I could make a difference. So I was excited to be nominated.
Okay, all right. Any further comments or discussion? If not, all in favor of the motion to approve, say aye.
Aye.
Where's the committee? Are they here? Did they didn't go to sleep on me? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right. And so I take that, Mr. Mayor, as an approval.
Good.
More for than against. And so we'll be recommending in our report approval of the full commission. And thank you, Ms. Farr, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Bye.
Thank you, Scott. And you're welcome to stay with us. It's a public meeting, but if you would like, now is the perfect time for you to drop off.
I got other places. So thank y'all for having me.
Thank you, Scott.
Bye.
The next item on our agenda is a review of tonight's full agenda. And if you'll permit me, I'm going to jump over that. We've got a couple of items of new business that may take a few minutes, and I want to be sure that we allocate sufficient time for that. So the first item is our consent agenda. And the first item there is the license application that we are being advised to deny. We had a kind of the attorney for the applicant address us and indicate to us that there were some questions about when they got their notice to file the appeal. And we tabled it 2 weeks ago in order to give them time to work through that. I'm going to call on Michael McNeil at this point to kind of update us on what's happened since then, and then see where we are. Michael?
Thank you, Mayor. So just to remind everybody, this is the Citgo station at the corner of Pionono Avenue and Mercer University Drive, right across the street from Cirrus Academy. The address is 1803 Pionono. The vendor's name is Jaya Food Mart. And the issue that was raised last week had to do with the recommendation, the notice letter that we sent after the commission previously recommended to deny the license. Let's see, I've got the tracking information from the US Postal Service here, where Mr. I believe it was Kenner, the attorney, asked, if we could confirm that it was sent to the correct address. It's got the address at the bottom of the letter here, 1803 Pionono. Banu Partap is the owner. It was addressed to him. Somebody signed for it and wrote 1803 Pionono Avenue on the recipient's address on August 28th. And they've got all the tracking information for the letter, where it was accepted at the USPS facility on August 17th and processed for mailing. That's the day we posted it. And then it's marked as out for delivery on August 20th. They attempted delivery and it says no access to delivery location, August 20th at 12:15 p.m. And it says no access. And then on August 28th, they delivered it. And the commission may recall that on August 26th, Mr. Partap emailed me and said to me, hey, I've been expecting this letter about the recommendation of denial. I haven't seen it yet. And that's when I emailed him a copy. So he confirms he's received it on August 26th, but notwithstanding, the Postal Service tried to deliver it just after 12 noon on August 20th, and for whatever reason could not get into the building. And so there was some discussion last time about how we count the days for purposes of determining when a request for a hearing is timely. The commission may recall, let me go back to my calendar. The letter was mailed on the 17th, delivery attempted on the 20th, and the notice for the hearing was on September 4th that we received. So it was about 14 days later. But under our code, this is section 4405, request for a hearing. What it says is, let's see, all statements sent in accordance with section 4404, that's the notice provision, shall be deemed received on the earlier of the date of actual receipt or 3 days from the date of sending. In the event that the deadline for filing a request, it says up above, I'm sorry, an applicant or licensee shall have 10 days from the date of receipt in which to file a request for hearing with the clerk of the commission. All statements shall be deemed received on the earlier of the date of actual receipt or 3 days from the date of sending. In the event the deadline falls on a Saturday, Sunday, or state or county holiday, then you move to the next business day that the clerk of commission's office is open. Any request not physically received by the clerk of commission in the time provided shall be deemed untimely. So the attorney's position was that by counting the clock 3 days after mailing, so we mailed on 17th, so that the 10-day clock started on the 20th, that did not give sufficient notice, and that we should have waited until he actually received it on the 26th to start the 10-day clock, in which case a notice submitted on the 4th would have been on time. My response is that the law provides that he had that notice. One, he's been through this procedure before. He got this letter last year when he tried to do the same license at the same store. He knew what was coming. He wrote to me and expected the letter. Two, that when he received it on the 26th, he still had 5 days to get us a notice of a request for hearing, and he failed to do that on time. And three, that the law commonly provides 3 days for mailing, just as a general rule. The State Civil Practice Act provides for 3 days for mailing. The Federal Rules of Civil Procedure provide for 3 days for mailing. And so it's not unusual in the law to say that when you put something in the mail, it takes 3 days to get to the destination, and then you start counting the time from that point. And so that's how this statute was, or this ordinance was written, was to match that 3 days for mailing that appears generally in other places in the law. And so because of that, my opinion is that the notice, the request for hearing that was received on September 4th was untimely, and that the commission is cleared to take final action on its recommendation to deny. And I understand from the clerk that the attorney was invited to to attend tonight's Zoom meeting, and I don't see that he has joined the meeting, but I wanted to mention that as well.
Well, more importantly, Michael, to me, there's no dispute about the facts of the case that prevent him from getting an alcohol license. And as I understand the facts, that the license was revoked. And when the license was revoked, the applicant from whom the license was revoked can't reapply for 2 years, and nobody else can apply for a period of 12 months.
Right.
And what happened here with the 12 months, they lost their grandfather status. That means they're within the prohibited distance of a school and don't have a grandfather status to rely on. Hence, we can't give them the license because they're in such close proximity or within the prohibited proximity of Cirrus Academy across the street. So that really is the basis on which we're denying it, that they're not a sufficient distance away and don't have the grandfather application to fall back on. So the recommendation is for us to deny, and I think a motion to that effect would be appropriate at this point to officially deny that license application, alcohol license application.
Are you asking for a motion?
Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, Mayor Pro Tem, that's you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
I would hope that in the near future that the administration, attorney's office can work these things out, because we're not in the business of putting people out of business. We want people to do business and have a business, regardless of how we feel. I'm not a drinker, or I'm not I don't go to the store. I'm familiar with the store. But I would just hope that we just try to figure out a way to be more receptive as a community that encourage businesses. That's all. And I just hope in the near future we can begin to work those things out.
I think that's an excellent.
I don't like the 12 months of denying anybody. It's as though we're punishing a future owner for 12 months because some previous owner. I just hope that that's one of the things we can work through and work out in the near future. Thank you.
Michael, let me ask you a question. My understanding is the 12 months is in state law, and we follow that with our local ordinance about the grandfather provision. Is that right or wrong?
So the legacy provisions that say if you lose your license for more than 12 months, then you have to meet the distance requirements. That is a matter of state law, but the rule that is in our code that says if anyone at a store loses a license, then nobody can be licensed there for 12 months. That is not in state law.
Yeah, that's not state law.
If Mayor Pro Tem wants to sponsor legislation to that effect.
Well, if you want to sponsor it and work with them, or anybody wants to sponsor it, I mean, I don't have to necessarily sponsor it. I'm just saying we need to try to at least work with folks in the near future to keep things like that from happening, as though we are punishing somebody for somebody else's wrongdoing. That's all I'm stating. And I'm not interested in sponsoring anything at that store or anyone near one in the future.
Very good. I think then, Mayor Pro Tem, that I think I've got a motion to deny this license application.
Commissioner Bivens was trying to speak.
Oh, Commissioner Bivens, go ahead. And Michael, if you'll take your screen share down, I can see people again.
I'm sorry.
No, that's perfectly all right. Commissioner Bivens?
Some of the discussion last time was about the proximity to a school, and I think in this community tends to favor not having alcoholic beverages sold near schools or churches. This one isn't very far from a church either. Last time, because of the grandfather clause, I think was the main reason it passed. Now the grandfather clause is gone. That's not anything that we did, but the grandfather clause is gone. It's being treated as if it's a new license. And so now we go back to distance. And I agree with Michael on his assessment of that.
Very good. Do I have a motion to deny this license?
So moved.
Who said that?
Bivens.
Second.
Bivens and Wins a second. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of denying the license signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed to denying the license, say no. The ayes have it, the license is denied. Next on the consent agenda is one that I don't think is going to be problematic for you. It is for Tom's Food Mart located at 811 Pioneer Avenue. That's just down from the fire station on Pine Island at the corner of Sewanee. It is an existing convenience store with alcohol, beer package sales to go license. What triggers this is a new owner of that establishment. So it's an existing convenience store with an alcohol license for package sales of beer to go. And the application is accompanied by all of the requisite information that we require, the sheriff's background check, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so I don't see anything out of the ordinary about it. Any questions?
Just because I'm curious, you know, we passed the changes, including the Vice Mart categorization. Does this place have gas pumps? I didn't seem like they did.
I think it does. I was given a picture of it, but I don't know of any good way to share my picture other than to hold it up to the screen. And I'm not sure how much good that's going to do, but I think I see a canopy out front on it. And I assume those are gas pumps under the canopy. But I can't tell you for sure.
Mr. Mayor.
Michael?
If I may, I would add that they applied for this license before that Vice Mart provision took effect on September 1st as well. So they would be, you know, we'll get soon enough. We'll start getting ones that are covered by that, but they beat the wire for that one.
Good.
They do have gas pumps for the record.
It does not?
It does.
Oh, it does. Okay. All right. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Can I get a motion to approve that license request?
So moved.
By Schlesinger. Can I get a second? Shepherd. Okay. We got a second by Shepherd. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of issuing that license to the new owner, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. The ayes have it, and that license request will be on the consent agenda for the main meeting tonight. That takes us to our other item of new business that we need to talk about, and that is a resolution to approve an application for the Georgia Outdoor Stewardship Program. I'll ask the clerk to read that by caption, and then I'll turn it over to Julie Moore to tell you why it's time sensitive and why we need to act on it tonight. Madam Clerk.
Yes, sir. A resolution approving the submission of a pre-application for funding from the Georgia Outdoor Stewardship Program and the estimated total amount of $950,000, including a local match of $250,000 payable from 2018 SPLOST revenues, culture, and public Rose Hill line item for the purpose of development the Rose Hill Pond Restoration and Trail Connector as a unit of the Okmulgee Heritage Trail.
Julie, let me call on you at this point to talk about why it's time sensitive and what it is.
Okay. The Georgia Outdoor Stewardship Program is a new grant program that began July 1st of 2019. So this is the first time that we've tried to apply for this grant. The new grant program has a dedicated funding mechanism to support parks and trails and looking for ways that we can acquire lands that might be critical to wildlife or to support clean water and provide outdoor recreation. So we started with a small group trying to talk about some projects that might be eligible for this, and it took a couple of weeks to weed out what might work in regards to how this funding is going to be graded. And so the Rose Hill Pond Restoration, because it has a water feature and some water mitigation that would be done in restoring that pond and where the water runs off, seemed to fit, and it would also help with some completing of the trail that will just continue to go once we've gotten the larger section of trail completed after the I-75-16. We're looking to ultimately have 13 miles of connected trail. But in this program, some of the grading is based, we get a few extra points if we get a resolution from you all that would say, yes, if we were to receive this grant, we would commit the matching funds, and there is a line item for Rose Hill Cemetery and SPLOST, so we're identifying that as a possibility, and that we would be maintaining it, and we do. We maintain Rose Hill and the trail. We are under a time commitment in that it has to be turned in by October 16th, so this is the only commission meeting that we could have to have that final approval so that we could submit the resolution along with the application, assuming you all are interested in us pursuing these funds.
So further discussion, or let me do, yeah, Commissioner Lucas.
Yeah, I was wondering, I fully support this because you're talking about cemeteries, and there are not a lot of pots of money that you can go to that can be used for cemeteries. I mean, generally people aren't touching the cemeteries, and there are so many in disrepair. My question involves Linwood. Was there any discussion? Would Linwood qualify? I know Linwood's under private ownership. It's owned by the Macon Cemetery Preservation Group, but is there a way that we as a community can impact that or help with that? That is a historic cemetery, and we need to do what we can because the graves are still falling in.
We agree, and we've talked several times about some options with Linwood Cemetery, and kind of the property ownership is the issue when applying for these larger grants. This grant we were going to ask for almost $1 million, so to your point, helping cemeteries, but it might be that if we're successful at this one and we figure out the property ownership or something that works with Linwood, maybe that could be another round.
Okay, is this an organized group that's been set up just to work with the cemeteries with this particular grant? Will it?
We just had a working group of folks who have been involved with the trail. Some folks from Newtown and Michael Glisson. We also worked with Robert Walker to see if he had any options of things that might fit this grant cycle. We've continued to work with Bill Causey and others who have been working on the trail. So it was kind of an ad hoc working group of trying to find the right project to fit the criteria of this grant.
Okay, I want that ad hoc group to start working seriously as the next project on Linwood. And even though it's a little different, we know this is a public cemetery and Linwood is under the auspices of that group. They need help. And so there has to be a way that we can improve that cemetery and continue with that private ownership. So that's what I'd like to request. Do I need to do anything formally, or do I just need to?
No, and in fact, we've done some work with, through Michael Glisson, that worked with submitting a small grant to a private foundation to help with some of the funding for goats to help the clearing in Linwood and others. So we are aware of it and trying to find the right opportunities to kind of get past the land ownership piece, but where we can help to get that cleaned up.
Okay, did the goats get funded? Did the money, did they get funding for the goats? Pardon?
I think we're waiting to hear back. Mm-hmm.
Okay, when you're talking about almost $1 million for one place, and you're talking about goats for another, I mean, we got to focus more on Linwood because it's obvious that group is not able to come up with what they need to save that historic cemetery. So anyway, enough said. Thank you.
Mr.
Motion
Mayor.
approved,
Mr.
Mr.
Mayor.
Mayor.
Pardon?
Well, let me get, I got a motion by Commissioner Allen. Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second, then I have a question.
Okay, Commissioner Wynn is my second, and then Commissioner Wynn, let me call on you. What's your question?
Yes, sir. May I ask Julie, the 250 that's our contribution is coming from a fund that we already have set up for Rose Hill, a SPLOST, part of our SPLOST fund. Is that right, Julie? Is it?
Yeah.
So we already have the money allotted for, right? Okay.
It is
Further
And
the
so what?
cultural and public portion of the SPLOST for Rose Hill, and there was almost about 482,000 designated for Rose Hill Cemetery. So this
Okay.
would be a portion of those funds, but it would obviously increase the amount we could spend there because it would just be the match.
Okay, thank you.
Is there further discussion? If not, all in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, say no. The ayes have it, so that'll be on the agenda for the main meeting for final approval tonight. I am advised that we do not need an executive session, so we'll delete that from the agenda. The only other item then would be a review of tonight's agenda. We've got about 10 minutes, so let me see if I can't run through right quick the agenda for tonight's meeting.
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner Lucas?
Can I take a quick minute and ask just a couple of things? I wanted to ask, and I was hoping that we would have our executive session because maybe these need to be asked in those sessions. But one question is, have all of our department heads received a letter from the mayor-elect saying to them that they're being evaluated for possible replacement in their positions? I know that the new administration usually issues that and says, you know, there's a possibility you will be replaced and that kind of stuff. But I want to know if there's a letter that's been sent to our department heads already before the swearing in. And if that is true, I want to say that that is totally out of order. The folks who, if this is true, the folks have not been sworn in. They have not taken the office yet, and they should not be putting our department heads who are trying to work through a whole lot of rough situations. They should not be placed under this kind of pressure at this point. And so I guess my question is, did that letter go out from the mayor-elect to our department heads saying to them that they were under scrutiny or they were under evaluation for possible replacement?
I don't know,
Does
Commissioner Lucas,
anybody know?
whether that letter was sent to all department heads or some. I don't know.
Okay, I've
we
made
can-
my statement about that. Once you're,
Yes,
if you are not sworn in, then you do not have the right to put any more pressure on our department heads. They're already suffering with COVID and all kinds of things as department heads. They don't need that extra pressure. They know that they may be replaced, but wait until you're in office before you start sending out letters. So I just want to see if I'm going to find out if these were sent out. And I'm just saying publicly, if they were, that is wrong. And the new administration needs to wait until they're in office.
Thank you, Commissioner
That's
Lucas.
one.
Thank you, Commissioner Lucas. All right, then
Oh,
moving on.
Just for
And
clarity.
I had a second
Commissioner
thing.
Watkins, hold on, I got
I'm
Commissioner
sorry
Watkins.
to take up all your time. But this
No,
is
ma'am,
important.
that's fine. Commissioner Watkins, did you have something?
Were you saying you didn't know if a letter existed, or you didn't know if it went to all the department heads, hence it went to some? I wasn't quite clear on your answer.
Number one, I haven't seen the letter.
So
No,
I have
number two.
Is that letter?
Number two. I am aware of a letter being received by some department heads. That's about as much as I can say.
Interesting.
To the attorneys.
And I don't. And let me be sure and say this too. I don't know how the department heads received the letter. So I don't know what the letter said. I don't know how it, I don't know how that all transpired.
Okay, I'm just going to say for the record, I'm going to be asking, and we'll be making a public statement if our department heads are being put under that kind of pressure already with what they're having to deal with. I think that's just terrible. And I think it's strike one on an administration that has not been sworn in yet. And to the attorneys, don't you have to be sworn in before you take official action?
Correct. Well, yes, that is true. You cannot have the people who are elected but not sworn in have no authority to make any decisions under the charter. That is correct.
Okay, I hope they heard that. And the other thing I wanted to ask was about our executive board meetings, our executive committee meetings. When we go into executive session, I have a real concern that folks who have not been sworn in are privileged to information that elected officials only, and the clerk should be privileged to. And we are sworn to keep that information. I have a concern about that. And I would like a little bit more work done on that to ascertain as to whether we need to continue to allow folks who have not been sworn in yet to sit in on our executive session. So I just need some more clarification.
I can give that now if you want, Mayor, or we can wait, whatever.
We'll wait.
Okay.
You know, we
You want me to just talk with you later?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be fine. I just knew that we're
Okay.
running up on time.
All right.
So the meeting that starts at 6 o'clock, Commissioner Wynn's going to lead us in an invocation. We'll approve the minutes. We have committee reports. I do not think we have any public comments on agenda items that we received, so that we'll skip over public comments because there are none on agenda items and go to the consent agenda. That'll be the denial of the license to Jaya Foods and the approval of the license to Tom's Food Mart. Then we'll go on to old business. First item of old business is the mayor's veto of the ordinance to prohibit referral to committee of the whole. That's on the agenda for first out. Then we'll go.
Vetoed that. Shame on you. Shame on you.
Okay, well, you know, it is what it is, and we'll see if we get six votes
Somebody
to
else
over.
just said that.
That's right. We'll
It
see if
is
we get
what it
6
is.
votes to override the veto. All right, then we go
Part of a
to.
pattern.
I'm sorry. Say again.
It's part of a pattern.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry you feel that way, but the next item is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a professional services agreement with HGOR for some work at Mid-City Square. The committee of the whole recommends approval there. The next item is a resolution to approve the appointment of Scarlett Farr to the Keep Macon-Bibb Beautiful Board, and the Economic Community Development Committee just kind of held an ad hoc meeting and recommended approval. The resolution to appoint Weston Hamilton Stroud to the Central Georgia Joint Development Authority. Economic Community Development Committee recommends approval there. Item E is a resolution to authorize the mayor to execute a professional service agreement with Preston Geotechnical Consultants, the amount of $7,890 for testing of construction materials at the Lake Tobesofsky Ranger Station. Operations and Finance Committee heard that, recommends approval. Item F is a resolution to authorize the mayor to execute a professional services agreement with Triscapes Incorporated in the amount of $1,590,664.19 for construction or reconstruction of the ball field complex at Carroll and Creighton Park. Operations and Finance heard that and recommends approval. Item G is a resolution to authorize the mayor or his designee to execute a change order for a contract between Macon-Bibb County and Smallwood Reynolds Stewart and Associates in the amount of $123,800 for additional engineering services on the Macon City Auditorium renovation. Operations and Finance Committee heard that and recommends approval. Item H is a resolution authorizing the mayor to accept a health and promotion well-being grant from the ACCG. The Operations and Finance Committee heard that and recommends approval. And then finally, the resolution approving the submission of the pre-application for funding from the Georgia Outdoor Stewardship Program that we just talked about in this meeting The committee of the whole recommends approval of that. Then we'll go on and read an extensive number of items of new business because it's been more than 2 weeks that we've had for the attorneys to work, and boy, have they ever been working. So we must have 20 items of new business already to read and refer, and I'll do that during the meeting, but obviously just referring it to committee for further study and evaluation. If there's no objection,
I got one. I have one objection.
Okay, Commissioner Watkins.
So there's one committee appointment that I'm trying to get referred, the Community Enhancement Authority, Mr. Hiley. That was ready a couple weeks ago.
And I have not followed up on that the way I should have, Commissioner Watkins, and I don't know whether the background check has been done on, is it Hiley or Hilly?
Sure, Hilly, yeah.
I don't know, but I haven't followed up on that the way I should have, and I apologize. So
what follow up is needed? That didn't make sense.
You got to do the background check. Got to get in touch with him, get a copy of his driver's license and a signed authorization to do the criminal background check. So I'll do that. Okay. And see where we are.
Mayor.
Yeah, Mayor Pro Tem.
I think we just need to start limiting the discussions outside of commissioners, the folks that's gonna come in here and speak, because then commissioners are rushed. Just as an example, the information, with all due respect, that our EMA director shared about a storm, we don't have enough information. You know, we got to limit those to a minute or two, because then commissioners at the end, it's like we're rushed because we got to go in at 6 o'clock. But we gave him at least 6 minutes to discuss a storm that we have no information on. So, I mean, you know, and I don't mean to bring a nebulous on the meeting, but I'm just saying, if we can start to limit them to at least a minute or two, and commissioners try to chime in and like we're rushed, and then we all seem like we're arguing with each other, and we're not doing that. We're just trying to get
very good. I'll see if we can't get our updates a little shorter. Unless there are questions, and then we can deliberate with questions. All right. If there's no objection,
Mr. Mayor, October is breast cancer month. I'd like to ask if we have another meeting this month that we could approve a resolution on that. I would like to sponsor that and ask others if they would co-sponsor.
I would like to co-sponsor.
Okay. So if we could get that done for referral to a committee next week, and if you would please read that in its entirety when it comes up, and present that, because there are just thousands of folks who are dealing with that, not only personally, but their families. And the other thing that I think we overlooked was, I believe it was Native American History Month. We've done Black History Month. We've done Women's History Month. And I believe it's Native American.
Yeah, Native American is next week. It's coming up.
So it is October?
Native American, yes.
Okay, so I'd like to request that as well, and have all of us to endorse that, and make it a habit of including support for all of our citizens as we go through the year.
We'll see if the attorney's office can't prepare those two resolutions, and we'll get them on the agenda for committee meetings next week.
Okay, thank you.
Very good. Okay, if there's no other business, then I'm going to declare this meeting, the pre-commission meeting, to be adjourned, and then we'll turn the page and move over to the regular commission meeting, and let me call to order this regular commission meeting of the Macon-Bibb County Commission for Tuesday, October the 6th. Again, we have established the presence of a quorum, and we'll continue on. And the first order of business is to open with an invocation, and I'll call on Commissioner Valerie Wynn to give us our invocation. Commissioner Wynn?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Please bow our heads. Our Heavenly Father, as we continue to move forward in our daily lives during this uncertain time, we ask for your continued blessing and guidance. When we consider our lives right now, we know we can turn to you in times of need to be there for us, and we can turn our prayers to you for comfort. We especially ask for special blessings for our dedicated frontline workers, such as medical personnel of all kinds, law enforcement, emergency management, teachers, and many essential workers that sometimes go unnoticed and are sometimes not even thanked for their work, such as our sanitation workers, our truck and bus drivers, people that work in grocery stores, to continue to let us live and put food on our tables for us. Please bless our many volunteers that are out almost weekly and sometimes daily helping others who are struggling. Let's remember those. And Father, help us to make wise and prudent decisions as we continue in our work for our citizens and our city as their commissioners. Lead us to brighter and better days. In thy name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Commissioner Wynn.
Welcome.
Next item of business is the approval of the minutes and the minutes of the pre-commission meeting of September the 15th and the regular commission meeting held on September the 15th have been prepared and circulated. Are there any changes or corrections needed in those minutes? And if not, can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Got a motion by Schlesinger, a second by Wynn. Was that Commissioner Wynn?
That's fine, yes. Mhm.
Okay, because second by Commissioner Wynn to approve the minutes. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of approval of the minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. The ayes have it, and both sets of minutes are approved. Next item on our agenda, reports from our standing committees and Operations and Finance Committee. That report will be given to us by Chairman Watkins. Chairman Watkins?
Thank you, sir. Operations and Finance last met September 22nd and took the following action. We approved the following items: an agreement with Preston Geotechnical Consultants in the amount of $7,890 for testing of construction materials and soil at the Lake Tobosaki Ranger Station. We approved an agreement with Triscapes for the construction of a new ball field at Carroll and Creighton Park at the cost of $1.5 million, and a change order with Smallwood Reynolds Stewart Associates for additional engineering services for the renovations at City Auditorium in the amount of $123,800. And we accepted a health promotion and well-being grant from the ACCG in the amount of $15,000. This includes a report from Operations and Finance. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Chairman Watkins. Next committee report will be Economic and Community Development Committee, and that report will be given to us by Chairman Lucas. Chairman Lucas.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and fellow commissioners. The Economic and Community Development Committee met on September 22nd, 2020, and took the following actions. The committee approved the following appointments. Just today, we met and discussed the appointment of Scarlett Farr to the Keep Macon-Bibb Beautiful Commission, and we recommend approval. We also recommend approval of Weston Hamilton Stroud to join the Central Georgia Joint Development Authority. And this concludes the report of the Economic and Community Development Committee.
Thank you, Chairman Lucas. Public Safety Committee, every day is Public Safety Appreciation Day, and I will say, Chairman Wynn, you're going to be pleased when I read new business today.
Okay, good. Because, as I say every time, there may be no formal committee meeting, but it is Public Safety Awareness Day every day right now.
It is indeed. Thank you very much. Last report, Facilities and Engineering Committee. Did Chairman Jones join us on the call? Chairman Jones?
I'm here. I've been here, but I don't have a report.
No report. Okay, I'm sorry. No report from Facilities and Engineering. Excuse me. I'm sorry. Public comments. No public comments have been submitted on agenda items. So we'll go now to the consent agenda, and the first item on the consent agenda is a denial of a new alcohol beverage license, and I'll ask the clerk to read that by caption.
The denial of a new alcohol beverage license for Jaya Food and Gas Incorporated, located at 1803 Pinona Avenue, Macon, Georgia, 31206.
The committee of the whole recommends denial of the license. Is there further discussion? All in favor of denying the license signify by saying aye.
Aye.
If you're opposed to denial of the license, say no. The ayes have it, the license will be denied. Next is a alcohol license that is for Tom's Food Mart, located at 811 Pinona Avenue. That is for beer package sales to go at that location. It is an existing location, a convenience store there that currently has a license. What has triggered this application is a change of ownership. The alcohol license application is accompanied by all of the necessary and requisite items, including the successful background check by the sheriff's office of the applicant, the certification from the business development services that the appropriate fees have been tendered for the type of alcohol to be sold, a certificate of approval of planning and zoning compliance, the measurement forms by the county engineer, and the ad that ran in the paper. Committee of the whole recommends approval of this license. Is there further discussion?
Yeah. So I
Commissioner
know
Watkins.
you said that it doesn't matter at this point because they got their application in before the deadline, but there are no pumps there. They were removed in 2019 or before. I could share my screen and show you the picture. Oh yeah, I can see it yourself later on. But I was curious though, do we know why the property change of agents happened? Was it property sold recently?
That's my understanding, that it's a new owner.
So there was a sale of the property.
Correct. That's my understanding, sir.
All right.
Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of approval of the license for package sale of beer from Tom's Food Mart, 811 Pinona, signify by saying aye.
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 Aye with reservation.
Opposed, say no.
No.
Got one no, Commissioner Watkins, but the ayes have it, and the license will be issued as requested. That takes us next to old business. And first item of old business is whether or not to override the mayor's veto of the ordinance to prohibit the referral of items to committee of the whole without 5 commissioners' approval. I will ask the clerk to call the roll on this so that we get an accurate count. Takes 6 votes to override the veto.
Want a motion first?
I'm sorry, discussion to some.
Want a motion?
I don't think it takes a motion. It's on the calendar to override. That's the process. It automatically goes on the agenda as to whether or not to override.
They can have discussion on it. They can have discussion on it.
Oh yeah, they certainly can have discussion, and I didn't mean to foreclose that. Is there further discussion?
I have some comments I'd like to make.
Mayor Pro Tem? Excuse me, I'm sorry. That was Commissioner Bivens. Commissioner Bivens?
When we went to Athens some time ago, one of the things I brought up, well, we had a discussion where all the members of the board said what they wanted to see out of the government coming up, out of the SPLOST. And after that was finished, then the mayor had his guy come up with a list. And I think the things that the board said were pretty much ignored, and the things that were carried out were the things that were on the mayor's list. Well, that just shows that, we don't have much concern about what the board thinks. And this is part of that, where now majority of the board can want something and then it doesn't matter.
So I guess I appreciate Commissioner Bivens for bringing this conversation to the forefront, because and the reason he's doing it, I totally get. On multiple occasions, most recent being the landfill, and I believe the hotel, the $23 million hotel as well. For some reason, when items are before the committee of the whole, not because I won't put it on the operations and finance agenda, but it allows you to avoid certain due diligences. A lot of questions can remain unquestioned or unchecked or unanswered. That honestly, that me, if it's just left to me, the rabbi, Commissioner Lucas, we won't let it continue until those questions are answered. It can stay in committee indefinitely. And just like even with the landfill and the hotel, when you go to committee of the whole, you can get stuff done without answering all the questions, and stuff are just left in limbo, but you get it passed. And yeah, that is the method of operations. Anything that's overly difficult, you do it like that. We notice, and it's aggravating. But I yield.
Thank you, Commissioner Watkins and Commissioner Bivens. But let me say, as I put in the letter to you when I decided to veto this, usually the items that are referred to the committee of the whole could be referred to one of several committees. Could be operations and finance, could be economic community development. Sometimes it could be facilities and engineering. And what you certainly don't want to do is to have to go through different committees, multiple committees, because you could have an inconsistent result. One committee passes it, one committee holds it or denies it, or this, that, or the other. Then you're really in a quandary. When you refer to the committee of the whole, everybody gets to participate in the committee of the whole, including the mayor pro tem. So everybody can sit around the table together. And if you don't like the way it's moving, you can table it in committee of the whole. And that has certainly happened. But the other thing is that if it is in a regular committee, a standing committee, and you table it in a standing committee, any commissioner can, at the next regularly scheduled meeting, make a motion to add that item to the agenda for that night. And all it takes is 5 votes, and boom, there you are. So I think that the referral of items appropriately to the committee of the whole is efficient. We can meet time sensitivity deadlines, as we did tonight, when without having to call special meetings. So, and I've tried not to abuse that privilege of referring things to the committee of the whole. But I hope that my veto will not be overridden. Commissioner Jones, I understand that you would like to be heard, sir.
Yes, sir. As I said before, you hear me okay?
Yes.
As I said before, I don't think Mayor Rickard has abused the privilege. I think it's been appropriate. Of course, it's a subjective call. I realize that, but it doesn't limit anybody's participation. It doesn't limit anybody's vote. So I don't think it's a good policy. I don't think it's necessary. So I will vote not to override the veto.
Is there further discussion?
I do.
Commissioner Bibbins?
There is one other option. If the members of the board don't want to be considerate, when the committee of the whole comes up, the people can just get up and leave. So, I mean, nobody has to be considerate of anybody if we don't want to.
Is there further discussion?
Yes, Mayor, one final thing. This is not about you.
No.
It is not about you. This is about the process.
Correct.
And there are committees that are set up, made of duly elected members of the commission. And so it's not about a person. It is about the process. And it is about bringing about some balance to this whole process. And there are a lot of places where there needs to be more balance, and all of you know that. So I will be voting to override. I think people are taking it personally when they should not. 3 more months in this administration, this is the time that we need to start looking at some of the changes that do need to be made that will make our elections more meaningful. Because right now, our whole setup is imbalanced. And so I will be supporting Commissioner Bivens' ordinance, and will be voting to override.
Right. The question before us is whether or not to override the veto. If you want to override the veto, override the mayor's veto, you would vote yes to override it. If you do not want to override it, you'd vote no, not to override it. So I'll ask the clerk to call the roll and give us a roll call vote.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. Commissioner Wynn, how do you vote?
Vote no with all due respect to Commissioner Bivens.
Commissioner Schlesinger, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Lucas, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Jones, how do you vote?
No.
Commissioner Bivens, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Allen, how do you vote?
No.
Commissioner Shepard, how do you vote? Would you unmute Commissioner Shepard? Okay, Commissioner Shepard, how do you vote?
Muted and unmuted.
He muted again.
Unmuted and unmuted.
You're back on mute, Commissioner Shepard. Could you unmute? There you go. How do you vote?
No.
Commissioner Watkins, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Tillman, how do you vote? Commissioner Tillman, would you unmute, please?
No.
Then by my count, the votes to override did not reach 6, and therefore the mayor's veto is not overridden. That takes us to the second item on the agenda, which is a resolution to employ HGOR for some work at Mid-City Square, and I'll ask the clerk to read that by caption.
A resolution of the Macon-Bibb County Commission authorizing the mayor to execute a professional services agreement with Hughes, Good, O'Leary, and Ryan Incorporated in the amount of $29,000 to provide master planning services for the Mid-City Square project to be paid from 2nd Street tax allocation funds and for other lawful purposes.
Committee of the Whole recommends approval. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, say no.
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 Got two noes, but the ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted. That takes us to item C, the appointment to the Macon-Bibb Beautiful Commission, and I'll ask the clerk to read by caption.
A resolution of the Macon-Bibb County Commission appointing Scarlett Farr to the Keep Macon-Bibb Beautiful Board and for other lawful purposes.
The Economic Community Development Committee recommends approval. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. The ayes have it. The resolution is adopted. Item D is an appointment to the Central Georgia Joint Development Authority, and I'll ask the clerk to read that by caption.
A resolution of the Macon-Bibb County Commission appointing Weston Hamilton Stroud to the Central Georgia Joint Development Authority and for other lawful purposes.
Economic and Community Development Committee recommends approval. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. The ayes have it. The resolution is adopted. And next is a resolution to make a payment for some additional testing at the Lake Tobosoffke Ranger Station. And I'll ask the clerk to read that by caption.
A resolution of the Macon-Bibb County Commission authorizing the mayor to execute a professional services agreement with Preston Geotechnical Consultants, LLC, in the amount of $7,890 for testing of construction materials and soil at the Lake Tobosoffke Ranger Station, to be paid from 2018 SPLOST funds, recreation, Lake Tobosoffke property line item, and for other lawful purposes.
Operations and Finance Committee recommends approval. Is there further discussion?
I have a question.
Commissioner Bivens?
The county left money for doing a place for the ranger station, and it was to go beyond that and have another area where people could gather and do some cooking and all. And that money was agreed to be used for something else, but to be replaced. Was it ever replaced? And I mean, I think we would have had something built other than what I just saw.
Commissioner Bivens, to my knowledge, I don't know that it has been replaced per se. I think that was the 2013 bond items that went to buy the tax commissioner's office and the sheriff's downtown annex, and there was money in there for the Lake Tobosoffke, and I think because of cost overruns with the tax commissioner's office and the sheriff's annex, we used some of those funds for that purpose. But I don't know whether we've ever replaced the bond funds. But you should have some money for like SPLOST funds that have been made available for Lake Tobosoffke. So from that perspective, maybe you could say that the money has been replaced.
Because if it was replaced, then we should be able to build the kind of place that we were talking about.
That's what I talked about, Commissioner Bivens, about a little conference center where people would come. They never did do it.
Can we put up like $800,000 for such a thing?
I'm sorry. So, we're getting.
I'm getting a massive facility.
I'm getting multiple. I'm getting multiple people talking at the same time. So please, I'm trying to recognize people one at a time so we can hear. Commissioner Watkins, did you have a question?
I said I thought we passed a big project with Warren Selby. I thought close to $1 million improvements.
Right, but I think Commissioner Allen and Commissioner Bivens are talking about a conference center that was discussed at one point in time, but they only put enough money in that 2013 bond issue. They put a total for the Lake Tobosoffke of about $1.5 million.
No. Mr. Mayor, you're wrong. Mr.
Well,
Mayor,
let me call on you, Commissioner Allen.
You moved the money.
No, I didn't do anything.
Y'all moved the money when it got transferred up, so it never got done. That's what happened. That's what I've been moaning and complaining about ever since I've been back. So that's I'm through with it.
Thank you.
Moving the money was agreed, but it was also agreed that it would be put back so that it could be done the way it was laid out.
I'm not aware, so I can't say yes or no. I'm sorry, I don't know, but I hear you. What this is, the resolution that's before us is to appropriate an additional $7,890 for testing for the construction materials for the ranger station under construction. So
it needs to be done. I'm for it. Go do it. It's got to be done.
So is there further discussion? The Operations and Finance Committee recommends approval. All in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no.
No.
One no, Bivens, but the ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted. That takes us to item F, which is a professional services agreement for some new, or I should say, reconstruction of the ball fields at Carroll and Creighton Park. And I'll ask the clerk to read that by caption.
Resolution of the Macon-Bibb County Commission to authorize the mayor to execute a professional services agreement with Triscapes Incorporated in the amount of $1,590,664.19 for construction of a new ball field complex at Carolyn Creighton Park to be paid from 2018 SPOS proceeds, recreation, Central City Park, property line item, and for other lawful purposes.
The Operations and Finance Committee recommends approval. Is there further discussion?
Mr. Mayor, Commissioner Wynn.
Commissioner Wynn?
Yes, sir. Just for the public's information, because they watch this televised thing. I want to know what, or would you explain to the public what this is for when it says new ball fields, where they are?
This is the reconstruction of existing ball fields to provide for improved drainage so that you can play ball sooner and without having to run through mud, as I understand it. The drainage issues down there, and they're having to redo the ball field, the existing ball fields that are heavily used.
Right, but I asked this question last time when we talked about this, and that new word shouldn't be in there because it's not new ball fields. It's our.
They're gonna look new when they get through.
Well, I know, but that's wrong. The wording is wrong in there. It shouldn't strike the new and put existing ball fields because it makes you feel like it looks like they're building new ball fields.
Refurbish the current ball fields.
That's what it should say, and I thought we talked about this already. Can we amend that?
Well, nobody made an amendment to strike, and when it went through committee and Operations and Finance Committee vetted it and recommends approval.
As long as we know what we're doing here, but I did say something.
Oh, I think you've made it abundantly clear. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. The ayes have it. The resolution is adopted to refurbish the existing fields at Carolyn Creighton Park. Next item is item G, and that is a contract for some additional work at the Macon City Auditorium in that renovation project. And I'll ask the clerk to read that by caption.
A resolution of the Macon-Bibb County Commission to authorize the mayor or his designee to execute a change order for contract C-19-0075 between Macon-Bibb County and Smallwood Reynolds Stewart and Associates Incorporated in the amount of $123,800 for additional engineering services for the project site of the Macon City Auditorium renovation and addition project to be paid from 2018 SPOS funds, cultural and recreation, auditorium, property line item, and for other lawful purposes.
Operations and Finance Committee recommends approval. Is there further discussion?
Again, Mr. Mayor, would you explain what these additional fees are for?
In my recollection, Chairman Watkins, my recollection is that Clay Murphy said that they were doing some additional structural steel analysis to be sure that the structural steel would support the improvements that are designed to be hung from the ceiling for that equipment ring, and to support the additional weight on the balcony and the terrace area.
Thank you. That's all I needed. Just to be heard.
That's my recollection. Commissioner Watkins?
No, you nailed it.
Yeah,
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, that porch is probably over 100 years old, and it does need some work and some structural work. So this is going to be great improvement for that particular area.
I don't doubt that, but I just want to make sure we understood what this extra money was being spent for.
Right. Operations and Finance Committee recommends approval. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. The ayes have it. The resolution is adopted. Next, item H is a well-being grant from the ACCG, and I'll ask the clerk to read that by caption.
A resolution of the Macon-Bibb County Commission authorizing the mayor to accept a health promotion and well-being grant from the ACCG Group Health Benefits Program in the amount of $15,000 and for other lawful purposes.
Operations and Finance Committee recommends approval. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. The ayes have it. The resolution is adopted. And finally, resolution to approve the submission of a pre-application for the Georgia Outdoor Stewardship Program. I'll ask the clerk to read that by caption.
A resolution of the Macon-Bibb County Commission approving the submission of a pre-application for funding from the Georgia Outdoor Stewardship Program in the estimated total amount of $950,000, including a local match of $250,000 payable from 2018 SPLOST revenues, cultural and public Rose Hill line item for the purpose of developing the Rose Hill Pond Restoration and Trail Connector as a unit of the Okmulgee Heritage Trail and for other lawful purposes.
The Committee of the Whole recommends approval. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. The ayes have it. The resolution is adopted. That is the end of old business, and the next item on our agenda is new business. So let me read the new business that has come down thus far from the attorney's office, and remind everybody to check the agenda on Friday afternoon to see what additional items may come down during the balance of the week from the attorney's office. But those items that have come down thus far include a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a professional services agreement with GMAS Incorporated in the amount of $143,500 annually for 3 years for maintenance of real property pricing schedules to be paid from the general fund, contract labor, contractual service line item. I'm going to refer that to the Operations and Finance Committee. Item B is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a professional services agreement with Geotechnical Environmental Consultants Incorporated in the amount of $8,675 for testing of construction materials and special inspections needed for phase 3 of the Freedom Park project to be paid from 2018 SPLOST funds recreation Freedom Park property line item. I'm going to refer that to the Operations and Finance Committee. Item C is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a commercial lease agreement with BSTP LLC in the amount of $45,000 for office space located at 127 and 129 and the upper level of 145 First Street to be occupied by the Georgia Cooperative Extension Services from October the 1st, 2020 until September the 30th, 2021. I'm going to refer that to the Operations and Finance Committee. Item D is a resolution to approve Amendment 27A to the 2018 SPLOST project timeline and budget as presented by the SPLOST project manager. I'm going to refer that to the Operations and Finance Committee. Item E is an ordinance to authorize a budget transfer of $7,000 from the tax assessor salary and wages full-time line item to the tax assessor contractual services line item in order to provide for a contractor to perform mapping services relating to the preparation of the FY 2021 tax digest. I'm going to refer that to the Operations and Finance Committee. Item F is an ordinance to authorize a supplemental budget appropriation from fund balance to the Macon-Bibb County Municipal Court in the amount of $5,500 in order to provide for the purchase of office furniture. I'm going to refer that to the Operations and Finance Committee. Item G is an ordinance to authorize a supplemental budget appropriation from fund balance to the Macon-Bibb County Tax Commissioner in the amount of $35,000 in order to provide for purchasing of licensing management software. I'm going to refer that to the Operations and Finance Committee. Item H is an ordinance to authorize a supplemental budget appropriation from fund balance to the Macon-Bibb County Facilities Management Department transfers out capital improvements line item in the amount of $63,295 in order to provide for the purchase of security systems for the Macon-Bibb County Government Center. I'm going to refer that to the Operations and Finance Committee. Item I is an ordinance to authorize a supplemental budget appropriation from fund balance to various departments in the total amount of $3,591,446 in order to provide for the reinstatement of previously budgeted furlough days for Macon-Bibb County employees. I'm going to refer that to the Operations and Finance Committee. Item J is an ordinance to approve a supplemental appropriation for the transfer of $28,504,740 from general fund balance to multiple funds in the FY21 budget to account for outstanding purchase orders. I'm going to refer that to the Operations and Finance Committee. You're going to be busy, Chairman Watkins. Item K is an ordinance to authorize a supplemental budget appropriation from the FY 2020 fund balance to the Macon-Bibb County Welfare Macon Transit Authority line item in the amount of $807,403 in order to provide for 45 days of operating expenses in accordance with the bi-party agreement dated June the 28th of 2016. I'm going to refer that to the Operations and Finance Committee. Item L is an ordinance to provide budget supplementals in the total amount of $700,925.48 from fund balance to various departments to amend the budgets and organizational charts thereof for the purpose of funding certain unfunded vacancies and creating new positions. I'm going to refer that to the Operations and Finance Committee. Item M is an ordinance to amend the FY 2020 general fund budget to $169,693,599 in total revenues and $169,693,599 in total expenditures, resulting in a supplemental appropriation of $697,000 and to amend the FY 2020 budgets of other funds where departmental expenditures were impacted and other year-end adjustments. I'm going to refer that to the Operations and Finance Committee. Item N is a resolution authorizing the mayor to accept a grant from the Georgia Office of Highway Safety in the amount of $23,400 for the Pedestrian on the Move program. I'm going to refer that to the Economic and Community Development Committee. Item O is a resolution authorizing the acceptance of a Forensic Science Improvement Project grant from the Office of Justice Programs FY20 Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant Program in the amount of $73,535 with no local match to be used by the Bibb County Sheriff's Office for forensic science training and equipment purchases and by the Bibb County Adult Drug Court for counselor services. I'm going to refer that to the Public Safety Committee. Item P is a resolution authorizing the acceptance of a FY 2020 HEAT grant from the Governor's Office of Highway Safety in the amount of $142,868 with no local match to be used by the Bibb County Sheriff's Office to provide for the operation and maintenance of 3 patrol cars and fund salaries for 3 full-time HEAT officers. I'm going to refer that to the Public Safety Committee. Item Q is a resolution authorizing the acceptance of an explosive ordnance unit grant from the U.S. Department of Homeland Security and Georgia Emergency Management Agency in the amount of $49,000 with no local match to be used by the Bibb County Sheriff's Office for the purchase of an explosive ordnance disposal vehicle and for veterinary care and supplies for the explosive ordnance detective canine. I'm going to refer that to the Public Safety Committee. Item R is a resolution to appoint Ron Griffin to serve as a member of the Macon-Bibb County Urban Development Authority. I'm going to refer that to the Economic and Community Development Committee. Item S is a resolution reappointing Charles J. to the Keep Macon-Bibb Beautiful Board. I'm going to refer that to the Economic and Community Development Committee. Item T is a resolution appointing Kathleen Fortney to the Keep Macon-Bibb Beautiful Board. I'm going to refer that to the Economic and Community Development Committee. Item U is a resolution appointing George Thomas Jr. to the Arbor Conservation Board. I'm going to refer that to the Economic and Community Development Committee. Item V is a resolution to approve the exercise of eminent domain to acquire in fee simple the property commonly known as 381 Monroe Street, located in Macon-Bibb County, Georgia. I'm going to refer that to the Facilities and Engineering Committee.
Yay.
And that and that is all of the new business that has come down thus far. But again, check the agenda when it comes out Friday afternoon. And these items will be taken up in committee meetings beginning at 9:00 a.m. again by Zoom. We're going to continue to Zoom for a while longer. So these meetings will again be by Zoom beginning next Tuesday at 9:00. Any points of personal privilege
Yes.
or any other? I'm sorry. Wait a minute. I got two things. Michael's got something, and then I think I heard a commissioner want a point of personal privilege. Michael, what have you got?
We have one public comment on a non-agenda item.
Oh, good. Okay, then a public comment on a non-agenda item. Michael?
If I may, it's about the agenda.
Commissioner Watkins, do you want to go before the public
Yes.
comment on the non-agenda items? Okay.
Yes, it was about the agenda. So yeah, there are quite a few items on the agenda that you referred to, operations and finance. I know most of the committee is really looking forward to a discussion on pay scale, and I suspect that we will have that information prior to next Tuesday, and we will be I'll find a way to make the schedule work, but we will be spending significant time overviewing that pay scale. I know you guys have been working hard on it, and that was pretty much our deadline, and I don't see any reason to stop it. But thank you.
Very, very good. I think we're all look forward to a long and productive operations and finance committee meeting. Now, Michael, let me go to you, please, sir, to read the public comment on a non-agenda item.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And we only have one to go through tonight, but this comment comes from Robin Cowley, who lives on Taylor Road in Lizella, and writes on the subject of internet service in Bibb County. Robin writes, I live a few miles from Fulton Mill and Eisenhower, not a remote area, yet Cox is my only option for internet. Hughes is available, but they've advised me that they are basically for areas with no internet and therefore a lot higher than most services. Strangely though, Cox is charging me about the same as Hughes would. I've been trying for years and making calls and checking back, hoping someone else would come in with service. I need basic internet, but don't have any need for bundling to lower my cost. Just seems strange that Bibb County does not offer other options countywide. Why is this? Mr. Mayor, this concludes the public comments on non-agenda items.
Thank you, Michael. That's great. Any points of personal privilege requested?
Mr. Mayor.
Commissioner Bivens?
Yeah. I want to mention a couple of things. I want to ask Commissioner Wynn if it's okay with her to contact the clerk and let her know if it's okay to give her contact information, because I don't have a phone number or an address, and I could get it through the clerk. That way you're not making it public. And the other thing is I'd also like to have some contact information on the Cal Ripkins Association.
I'm sure we can get both for you, Commissioner Bivens. Any other point of personal privilege? If not, we've reached the end of our agenda. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
And without objection, we are adjourned. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.